Welcome to LIS754 Systems Analysis and Design. Today we're talking about process modeling. In this short video, we are going to have a very brief overview of process modeling, about why we are doing this. We're going to have an overview of the assignment and look at an example. There are several short videos on the Canvas site that will explain the actual how-tos of doing process modeling, how flowcharting works, the different elements of it, how arrows should work, what diamonds mean, what the different shapes mean, and the conventions that we use for doing this. But I want to talk a little bit about why we do this. We do this because it's really helpful to have a visual view of a system. And we can do this in a couple of ways. We can have a really abstracted view that is with the details muted so that we can just see the big picture. And we can also do it with significant detail. And both of those are really useful, and sometimes we do both of them when we're doing a system. And when we do these kind of process flows, just like a project plan, it's a communications document. This process model helps us convey the different processes, exactly how we're going to do these different processes in our system. It's also a way that we can double check the other things that we have done in our requirements gathering process. So if we are looking at our use cases and we are mapping out some of our use cases, we can sometimes see errors more easily. So we think of use cases being from the users. We think of process modeling as being the flow between the different components of a system. It's how we can show those connections between the different components, say the student data and the repository data, between the digitization process and the repository, between the one system and another. So we use these, we use process models to show these connections, to double check our other requirements, to communicate exactly how the data flows and the processes work. So for this coming week, you are going to create a process flow, a flow chart for your system, for either a significant component of your system, for the whole system. I would encourage you to do it at a pretty large scale, because you want this as part of your final document, and so the more comprehensive it is, the less you have to do later. So you can use several different tools for this. One is called Glyphy, which is a web-based tool. You can also use the shape functions in Word or PowerPoint to create this flowchart. Word and PowerPoint are rather awkward and hard to use, and I would encourage you to try this Glyphy, and I'll show you how that works in a couple of minutes. I would like you to be detailed, to include sufficient detail that it's helpful for your process as this communications document. I want you to use proper flowcharting shapes and conventions. Both the readings and the videos on the Canvas site will give you enough information on how to do that. I want you to be clear, concise, and accurate in your process flowcharts. Sometime towards the beginning of next week, so sometime like Tuesday, before no later than Tuesday, you should post your flowchart and your explanation on the discussion page. If you wait too long, the discussion does not happen, and and I really want you to do this. I really want you to have discussion, to get feedback from your students, from your fellow students, I think it really helps the quality of your work. It gives you the experience of working in a team to do these kinds of, for this kind of process. So I really want you to do that. So the Tuesday before our next face-to-face class, I would like you to have this posted. That way you'll have enough time to be able to get feedback, to have a discussion, and put that and modify your flowchart and documents to reflect that feedback. I want you to describe your process flowchart in a text document. I am not a stickler for words, so if 300 words does it, that's fine. I certainly do not want more than a 1,000-word document. This document should be well written in a professional style, by which I mean you should not be using the first person. I do not want you to say, in my flowchart, I did this. I want it to be in the third person. This process works this way. That's how we do those kinds of professional, technical documents. Good grammar, declarative sentences, clear organization, and then turn it in on the assignments page. So I'm going to show you how this Glyphy system works. You have to sign up. I use my Gmail account to sign up. You can use flowchart shapes, create drawings, and export as a JPEG. When you start a new file, if we started a new one, I have come up here on my existing file, you get a number of options. This is the flowchart option. So if we click on that, it's going to bring you into a blank flowchart process. It gives you some options. You want to click on flowchart. You don't want to do a business process or a floor plan or any of these others. A flowchart, click on that, blank, open, and there you go. And you have these flowchart, all the flowchart symbols are right there. So what I've done is created two flowcharts on one file. You could do this as well, or however it works. You have to think of the best way to represent your system. I have done a detailed one of the student of my system for the ePortfolio data, and this is the system uploads data. So I have my start symbol here, student uploads data, the single arrow to log in, and you can see I abstracted a lot of data. So in my use cases, I have 2 or 3 use cases just for this process, right? But I am abstracting it here because this is that's not the important thing I want to show in here. So you log on. Is the authentication complete? No. Try again. Yes. Continue. Creating metadata is the first step. So that's my process box here. I want has the data been verified? If there are errors, go back. If there are no errors, continue. To save the metadata. Metadata gets saved. This is a process. It gets saved to the repository database. And at some point, there's an offsite backup for that. Does the student want to add data files? Yes. We upload more data. No. Do you want to update more metadata records? If you want to update more metadata records, you go up to the top. If you don't, you go down to the bottom and stop. If you want to, so we add data. We want to add the data files, so we upload the data. The student files are accessed here. Do we want more uploads? Yes. We do it again. No. We ask if you want to add more metadata records. If you do, you go back up. Otherwise, the process is over. So that's one way of showing one of the major components of this system in this process. In a second process, I have a more abstracted one that's of a batch process, a more background process. So we start for program assessment. So this is the process by which the dean could say how many students have used an artifact to represent one of the learning goals in their ePortfolio. So This would just be a button gets pushed to start this process. And the first process is to extract data. So there's a process here that will extract data. It'll go to the repository database and will pull out a bunch of data. And it will format it in a way that it can be collated, and it extracts this data and puts it in this intermediate format. The data is collated by academic semester and by learning outcome, and a report is formatted, and then the report is printed. So here are two flowcharts. But let me just really quickly show how this works. And you just drag and drop these different components. And it's really lovely. It's got those nice little lines. It helps you align everything nicely. This is a straight line generator. You do this. You can change the nature of the arrows if you need to, but it was right the way before. So you just play with these things. And it's really straightforward. Once it learns okay. Now this is a really helpful thing. This is a connector. So instead of trying to draw a lot of lines, it lets you draw these different kinds of connectors. Oh. So it's super simple. You can come here and just add text. You can add a little text box here. And this is how you can just do something really simple. The nice thing is that these change. So if you need to make something bigger, right? You want to make something bigger, you can do that. The lines will change with you. So it's very flexible. It's really useful. It's super simple. You save, right? You save a file, and then you can export. You can export. My preference would be as a JPEG. It's really easy for me to access and process JPEGs. So that would be simple. If you would like, you can, instead of, you can publish it and share it with me. And so you could just give me a URL. If you would like me to make comments directly in there, you could, I think, you can collaborate with someone. You can just use if you want to do that, right, add collaborators. And so if you used my Gmail account, that would work the best. Anyway, that is Gliffy. We might use this system again when we do user interface, so it might be worthwhile getting an account. So this is the that flowchart I used before. I actually have this isn't. I see that I saved an older version where I have an error. So in the PowerPoints that I will put on Canvas, this will be corrected. But I want you to choose the level of detail. So you can do what I did and have several, either make several separate files, put several flowcharts in a single document, and have multiple levels of detail. That's really useful. Create one or more drawings, write that description, and submit it to me. So I will see you soon at our next face-to-face meeting. Please email me if you have questions. Please post to the discussion board with sufficient time to be able to get feedback that you can incorporate into your final assignment. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.